Be my recording for Project Bytesaver for Windows Server Management 1. This is my domain controller with my Bytesaver backup, my Bytesaver domain controller, which is itself, and the nested server core all showing here. I can also show the DNS. If I open aidenbyte.com, you can see nested server core, Bytesaver, ESXi, the Bytesaver domain controller, and the Bytesaver backup exec all showing here added in the domain. In this VM, I have made some test files that I'll be backing up, one of them being a test user here, which I will go ahead and delete. I'll also delete the test group just to show the group as well. I'll now close that and go to File Explorer, going at this PC into Documents. I made a test folder here with a test document. There's a test document to be restored on my domain controller. I'll go ahead and delete the document. I'll also delete the folder, so the documents is now empty. I'll go to Recycling Bin and delete both of those permanently. And that is that for the setup there. On my Bytesaver backup exec server, as you can see here, the Bytesaver domain controller is added and the ESXi with the nested server core there. I just performed a backup of the domain controller with those files I just deleted, just so you don't have to wait through it. Now, I just got to actually apply the restore. To do that, I'm going to go into Tools and go to System Configuration. I'm going to go to Boot. I'm going to go to Safe Boot, Active Directory Repair. I'm going to click OK. I'll now restart this domain controller into recovery mode through that method instead of making a recovery disk. So to log in, I'm going to log in as an other user. I'm going to do administrator. And I'm going to log in with these credentials because the domain isn't active at the moment. So now that that is booted into recovery mode, safe boot mode, I'll go back over to the backup exec. I'm going to select the Bytesaver domain controller and click restore. I'll select complete online restore for computer, a Microsoft Windows computer that was fully selected for backup. Edit the credentials, make sure it has the correct login selected, and then I'll just select next. I'll select next again through all of these options, all the D again, next again. And all that looks fine, and I'll click finish. This will now begin doing the restore, which will be displayed under the status here. And just there we go. We see it's restoring. That'll just take a few minutes, but I will cut that out. The restore is done. Let's go back over to the Bytesaver DC. I'm going to switch back the system configuration from safe boot to just normal. It'll now restart. Now I'll be booting back into the domain. And once this boots up, I can go to the documents and see the test folder and the test document have been restored. There we go, there's that one. And if I go Tools and Active Directory Administrative Center, and I go to Users, I'll scroll down, there's the test user and the test group that have been restored from the full backup. Now I will be going back to the documents and I will create a new folder test. And in this, I will put a text document that just says incremental. And I will leave that there. I'll close that. I'll go back to Bytesaver, double click on this and go to this incremental backup right here. I'm going to run now and run that. That should run the incremental backup for my domain controller. I'll just cut until that's done. Okay, now that the incremental backup is done, I'll go back to my Bytesaver domain controller. Just log back in very quickly. And once again, I will boot into the safe boot repair mode. Okay, now that the incremental backup is done, it shows backed up here. I'll go over to the Bytesaver domain controller again, and the new folder test with incremental inside, I will delete that. Go to the recycling bin, make sure it is fully deleted, and now I will boot back in with the system configuration to the safe boot, and restart into that. And once that has fully booted into the restore mode, I will restore from the incremental backup and just show that it has saved the other file and the incremental file that was just added. Okay. Other user / administrator. Since the domain isn't online right now. Now that that is booted into there, I can go over here and restore again. And there we go, that's restoring again. Once that's done, I'll cut back and display the incremental backup files right back where they should be. Okay, now that the restore should be finished, I can go back to the Bytesaver domain controller, log back in, and then go Tools, System Config, and Boot. Safe boot can go off, and I can restart it again, back to normal. And when I do this, it should have fully restored the incremental file. Okay, here we go. I'll just log right back in. If I go back into the folder and the documents, new folder test with the incremental test file that I made right there. That concludes the domain controller portion of Bytesaver video. Next, I will delete and restore the Windows Server core. Okay, for the next section, I will be backing up the Windows core and restoring it after entirely deleting it from my backup or my ESXi server. So here's my Windows Server core that is hosted on the ESXi. It's in my domain. It has a name and its IP. It's part of the DNS and all that. This is it on its UI in the interface, just showing it right there. I will be shutting that off. And now I will go to Actions and Delete. Are you sure you want to delete the following virtual machine? Windows Core, yes, delete. So now if I go back here, I can no longer see it at all. It is gone. I did already make the backup. This is the job history for the nested server core. Success with 100% parent complete. So now I will go back here. I lied. It'll actually be on the Windows core here for the ESXi. There we go. Back to the original drive. Next. Restoring the ESXi server that had the nested server core on it. And you can see restoring right there. So once that's done, I will cut back. Okay, now that the restore has finished, I should be able to just go right back, and Windows Core is right back where it originally was in my virtual machines folder. I can power it on. Maybe I can just do it through here. Yes, I can. So now I've reopened it here. I'll re-put in my credentials. And if I run the sysconfig command again, you'll see it is still a part of the domain and the same name, and the IP is the same, or I wouldn't have been able to open this interface anyway. So that is my full demonstration of a restored nested VM that was hosted on my ESXi, being restored through backup exec. I believe that's everything I needed to show in the criteria. Thank you for your time grading this. Yeah, that is all.